Gautam Adani is the third richest person in the whole world and has a net worth of $140 billion. This person is the richest person in Asia, and a lot of young people look at Gautam Adani and think, what should I do to become at least a crorepati, if not a billionaire? And unless you come from a wealthy background, it can be very challenging to accumulate wealth. And with the specific challenges you will face will vary on the path you take. And the question arises is, what's their secret to success when they look at the multimillionaires? And the real question is, how did they get there? What does it take? So sit back, relax, and grab some coffee, because in today's video, we are going to uncover the 4 paths you should take if you are looking to become a crorepati or a millionaire. Before we start our video, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon so that you don't miss any of our videos. Let's get started. Tom Corelli first started the research project entitled Rich Habits, and he had a same question like these in his mind. In his own words, I proceeded to spend the next 5 years conducting the interviews with the multimillionaires and conducting a research on everyday activities, habits, and characteristics of the 233 affluent individuals. Every single one of them had a minimum of 3.2 million in net assets and a year gross income of at least 160k. During the course of the Tom Corelli investigation, he discovered that there are primarily 4 different ways to accumulate wealth, and the saver investor option is the one with the least amount of risk, whereas the other 3 contains significant amount of danger. Now let's start with our first path, which is the saver investor path. The research found that little under 22% of those who reached the millionaire status took the route of the savers and investors. Not only it is the simplest way to accumulate wealth, but if you are begin doing so at a young age, it virtually always ensures that you will have a significant amount of money by the time you retire. As per Tom Corelli research, group of savers and investors reached their first $1 million somewhere in the middle to late 30s, and by the time they were in the mid 50s, they had amassed a wealth and average net worth of 3.3 million. In addition, they shared some of the following characteristics and habits that they implemented in their life in order to become rich. Number 1. They had a middle-class family income, and most of them got the 6-figure entitled income early in the year by choosing the career in the coding, sales, or media business. Basically, they choose the path where skills help them to boost their income, and if they fail to achieve the 6-figures job, they tend to live frugally. The second, because their standard of living was so affordable, they decided to put their money away in savings rather than making any useless purchases like buying luxury clothes just to impress other people. Number 3, they put away at least 20% of their earnings in savings. And the number 4, they began making investments of their resources at an early age and continued to do so in a responsible manner for a number of years. And due to this, all of their compounded habits helped them to achieve the success, which is of becoming a millionaire. Now the second path is the path that we call the way of a dreamers. No matter what kind of a work they did for a living, members of this group made it a point to set aside money each week for saving and investing, and they were always considering effective new strategies for expanding their financial standing. The road of the savers and investors is not appropriate for everyone. It needs a significant amount of both financial discipline and a commitment over a long run. This is possibly the most challenging way to build the wealth because it demands the pursuit of a dream, such as beginning a business, successful actor, singer, or author. Dreamers made approximately 28% of the participants in the Tom Corelli research, and over the course of almost 12 years, they amassed an average net worth of 7.4 million, which is far more than that of any of the other categories that we have discussed in this video. Every single of them shared the following passions, and achieving their aspirations was one of the most gratifying things that they have ever done in their life. They were really passionate about what they did for living, and it showed in the amount of money they brought in. Those who are interested in this route, on the other hand, should be prepared to put in long hours at the office and be ready to deal with the pressure of a tight budget. The dreamers put in an average of over 61 hours of labor per week before finally realizing their goals. Weekends and vacations were absolutely basically non-existent for them, and trying to make ends meet was not so much easy. One of the dreamers stated that at first, receiving a consistent wage was almost impossible, and those who were responsible for supporting families had an even more difficult time. Some people made the decision to put off the purchasing a home for a later part of their life, while others dug into the resources for their retirement so that they could afford to follow their goals and dreams. Now the third path that we are going to talk about is the route taken by the company climbers. The route taken by the company climbers are the people who work for a large corporation and focus all of their efforts on moving up in the corporate ladder in the hopes of becoming a senior executive are referred to as the climbers. Climbers work their way up to more senior executive positions. This is the second most difficult way to become a billionaire, and approximately 31% of the wealthy people whose lives were analyzed by the Tom Corelli were classified into this group. They needed an average of 22 years to establish a net worth of $3.4 million, and by the time they reach that point, in most instances, they become wealthy as a result of a stock remuneration or a share of the profits earned by the partnership of the company. And in order to grow in this path, you need to have an excellent relationship building skills if you want to be a climber. It is critical to engage in networking activities and establish a meaningful connection with the influential people in your field. Climbers, however, also put in long hours at the office, much like dreamers. The ones that Tom Corelli interviewed all reported to work early and stayed late after they had finished their work. Many were forced to travel on a regular basis and even had to give up significant portion of their vacation, and the ability of a climber to turn a profit into one of the most important factors is determined by their level of success. If their company is having a financial difficulties, it is possible that the return on their time and money invested there will not be as high as they had anticipated. And the last path is the way of the virtuous, and those who are considered into the virtuous in their field are among the very best at what they do. They command a high salary due to the fact that their knowledge and experience set them apart from the other candidates in the market. For the virtuous, it takes almost 20 years to accumulate a net worth of $4 million on average. Some of them worked in the legal profession, while others were employed in the medical field. A limited number of them were either owners of the business or employees of a highly successful small businesses, or they worked for huge firms that were publicly traded. Of course, virtuous don't automatically have a natural intellectual advantage when they were born. They are required to devote a significant amount of time and effort to constant research and education. In most cases, you will need to have completed a formal schooling, such as earning a graduate degrees. This implies making a significant financial and a time commitment before getting any return on your investment at all. It is not possible for everyone to spend a substantial amount of time practicing their skill each and every day or have the financial means to seek a higher levels of education. Now that were all of the 4 paths that you might have to be considered if you really want to become a millionaire or a crorepati. And if you had stayed this longer in this video, you might have understood one important thing here, that becoming rich does not have to do anything about quitting a job or choosing not going to the college. It basically means to save more and invest more in the things that can generate more returns than the saving account of your bank. And that asset can be you by yourself, a stock or a bond, a real estate, or building entirely a new business. And if you found this video insightful, hit the subscribe button and like this video. It will help the video to reach out to the more people, and by subscribing you will get to know the world of business, money and power in a form of videos in a simple digestible language. And see you next time.